This is your boy, Mr. G, and we're back in the VETTE, and I thought I'd talk to you about models. You know, I talk a lot about my childhood and things we played with, and try to tie it into, you know, trying to share this environment that I grew up in that was, you know, for young boys, so much about someday you're going to be in your teens and you're going to be able to drive. It's all about that. That's the big, you know, like that was bigger than going to the prom. And one of the ways that young boys, when I grew up, and I don't see this anymore at all, learned about cars. Now, back then, cars didn't have to be connected to a computer, and you could go get a jalopy and fix it yourself and soup it up and have a nice car. So it was beneficial for kids to learn about cars, you know, so you collected things like Hot Wheels and whatnot. But one of the big things that taught kids about cars was models. You could start with snap together models, and eventually you'd be sitting down with super glue and all different types of paint, and you would be painting all the pieces to a car and putting them together, holding them in place till the glue dried and hardened, which was like, it was like the super fast drying glue. And you would build from scratch, from ground up, a replica of the car that you decided to purchase. And I used to save my allowance money when I was really young. I picked up the habit from an older foster brother of mine named Norman, and when he got his allowance, he would go buy a model, and I would go buy a snap together. And I remember like a couple of them that I bought because they were so significant to me. One of them I remembered looked like the Scooby-Doo van. You know, like hot rod vans were a thing back then. And you don't see much of that anymore. When someone goes out and gets an old car and soups it up to show it off, they don't typically do it with a van. But it was a big thing back then. 57 Chevys was like it. You know, you wanted to put together a late 60s Mustang or some 50s model Chevy was like the jam. 55 Chevy, 57 Chevy. And I remember putting those together, and it taught you about the basics of an engine, because you had to put the fan belt on, right? You had to put the blower on the top of, you know, of your engine. You know, the exhaust pipes were coming off of the sides. It's just like, what are they for? Why are they there? Oh, they're the exhausts that the engine creates. And you kind of learned by snapping these things together or gluing them together about a basic combustion engine. I don't remember if things like the carburetor and the starter, you know, and the battery and stuff like that were included in the engines. I don't think they were. I could be wrong, but if you look this stuff up online now and you try and buy this, now it's just like one company owns the entire market. Nobody buys even from them, and it costs like, you know, several $100s to get a model that I used to buy with $2.50 worth of allowance money. So I guess it's just not beneficial for, you know, as a purchase. But it was a great way to learn about cars. And then eventually, you know, your older brother or your neighbor was tinkering under the hood, and he'd say, like, hold this flashlight or hold this wrench. And when you were looking in there, you'd be looking at stuff that you were familiar with. So I thought this was a significant thing and a significant difference in childhood life between now and, you know, well, I'm going to say the late 70s, early 80s for me, personally. So, what do you know about this stuff? Did you guys do this? Did you put together models? I mean, that's what we called it. Let's just go buy a model and put together a model. And what was your favorite jam if you did buy one? You know, did you paint them all up, or did you go ahead and cop out and buy the ones that were pre-painted? There's your boy, Mr. G. You know where to find me. I would like to add, besides the Instagram, Facebook, and all that stuff, find me on modl as well. You'll see my same emblem that are on my videos, the Mr. G emblem. and hit me up. Peace.